Okay, hi. We're at the church in Arkova where we've had quite a lot of drama with the dogs in the last month. Now, the start of this story was really nice. We had several volunteers who were coming to feed two mother dogs, and this is one of the mother dogs here, and their puppies, and also some male dogs. So it started with one or two volunteers, and then they realised there were actually several people feeding the dogs, and started to create a really nice little community of care for this group of dogs. And we were so happy to see that, because this is what we need. In about mid-May, we started to see the volunteers being harassed, even threatened, attacked, and the dogs threatened by people who decided they didn't want dogs near the church. Now, these people seem to be working around the church, and their reasons for not wanting the dogs there centered around the fact that there was a big church celebration happening at the start of June. And they didn't want, I suppose they didn't want dogs there making the site look bad or messy. This, as a start, is pretty ridiculous, because when you think about it, dogs do not like noise, they do not like chaos, and they do not like crowds of people. So the reality is, when they had a big celebration here, these dogs would have left. There is so much space around. They would have gone into the fields. People probably would not have even seen the dogs all day. However, 1 week later, unfortunately, the volunteers went to the site to find that all of the puppies, so 7 puppies, except one of the puppies, the 8th, had disappeared. And this is very strange, because puppies of this age, they would never just leave their mother, and the mother would never leave them. So we knew something suspicious had happened. We searched, we asked around, nobody would admit what happened. We had a few people make specific accusations towards others, but we put in a formal request to the municipality to ask if it was them that took the puppies, just in case. We haven't received a response, but they informally told us it wasn't. And we tend to believe that it probably wasn't them. It was probably somebody who wanted the dogs gone from the church. So for this specific issue, it was very cruel to steal babies from their mother. And the volunteers were coming to the site and seeing that these mothers were mourning, they were crying, they were searching for their babies. We, on that point, have put in with the prosecutor in Nafplio for a formal investigation for unknown persons who have committed cruelty against the dogs, stolen the puppies, and we still don't know where they are. We don't know if they're alive. We don't know if they're alive, what conditions they live in. And this brings a lot of negativity and sadness to the community here. The second issue, closer to the date of this celebration at the church, whilst we were still trying to find the puppies, suddenly the last puppy disappeared, and we found the 2 mothers here mourning again, especially the one who had lost her very, very last puppy. Also here was missing one of the male dogs, but these dogs were not sterilised at this point, so we didn't think anything suspicious of this. We just couldn't work out where has the last puppy gone. We asked around, we got no response. Where is the last puppy? I don't know. Nobody knows where the puppy is. A day later, we were informed that the authorities had been asked to go and pick up the last puppy and the mother for their own welfare, to vaccinate the puppy and sterilise the mother. However, it seems that, what actually happened was that somebody came, picked up the puppy, and instead of the mother, who looked identical to the puppy, just picked up a male dog. So essentially, they stole the last puppy from her mother and took a random male dog. Now, to sterilise this male dog, great, it was probably a good thing to do. But the way it was done was very cruel, because how could you confuse a male dog and a female dog? Did they really not know the difference between a male and female dog? Or did they just go there and go, any dog's a good dog, and grab that one? So we're left again with the 2 mothers mourning. Since then, look, we understand who was involved in that operation, that second operation. although the timing was very suspicious because it happened right before the church celebration, and we were not aware that anybody had any interest in picking up those dogs for sterilisation and vaccination before. We can see the actual idea is not so bad. We have nothing against that idea. To vaccinate a puppy is great. To sterilise the mother so she doesn't have more puppies soon, that is great. But the fact that somebody was so incompetent that they took a male dog instead and caused further suffering, that is just not okay. So we are not against sterilisation. We actually have appointment tomorrow to sterilise this one because she's one of the ones left at the church. Unfortunately, we wanted to sterilise the mother of the last puppy that was stolen, but we can't find her. She was mourning so much and so anxious about the loss of her puppy that she's disappeared. She's gone many kilometres away, and it became harder and harder to find her. We are going to try to search for her in the morning, but we have no idea where she is. And what we want to point out with this story is there was pointless cruelty. There was actually no reason for anyone to take these dogs away. They were going to leave during the celebration. So even if you hate dogs and you don't want them near your property, doing something like that, they're not going to be around. The second thing is how the rest of the activities that were done. So it's actually a real crime, the first puppies that were stolen, and we still have an active investigation for that. But the rest of the operation was just incompetent. I mean, they put this mother dog through further cruelty and snatched a puppy away from the mother simply because they mistook a female dog for a male dog, or they just didn't care. So the point of this video is not to blame people, because there is, no point, aside from the stolen puppies, which is a crime and is cruel. The rest of it is just disorganisation, lack of process, lack of communication and incompetence. But it led to cruelty, so people do need to start to feel a bit accountable for that. You can't just keep saying, well, I did this job and it's good. It doesn't matter. It's great that this male dog is sterilised now, but at what cost and in what way was it done? We just want people to start to slow down and think and communicate and decide together, okay, what is the best course of action for the animals here? And for people to start to learn that just because you find the existence of dogs inconvenient, unsightly, guess what? We're in Greece. There are hundreds of thousands of dogs living free, and we need to learn to live with them and to help them in a competent way, in an organised way. Otherwise, we are going to have the same problems, the same issues forever. It will never end if we are just snatching dogs and not communicating, and we don't have a plan.